The British India consisted of 565 provinces and as many princes. Over 400 of them were very inconsequential small states, not more than 20 miles square, or some of them even lesser. Some of them were as big as like the Deer Park in Delhi or the Richmond Park in London. Some of them ruled from their stables. These were all inconsequential rulers who had no say. They were only busy in entertaining themselves. There was no administration. And still, many of those bigger states administered better than the British, and the British acknowledged it also. Some of them, like the state of Hyderabad and the state of Kashmir, were equivalent to the size of England and Scotland put together, and many more millions than England and Scotland had. There were three things that these rulers were interested in: sports, sex, and administration. Administration probably came at the end of it. The first was sports, because sports would make them healthy enough to indulge in their rendezvous with women. All these provincial rulers, Nawabs, Maharajas, Rajas, had their own harems, in which they kept all those women accumulated haphazardly. Most of these were illiterate, because at that time more than 99% women were uneducated, and it was that was the only reason they could be kept under their thumb. The women ranged from, say, 300 minimum for a ruler. 300 it would go up from 300 to, say, during Akbar's time, to 5,000 women. Akbar had 5,000 women in his harem. So their infatuation with women was great. It was not only that they would get little girls, small virgin girls, into their harem for their pleasures. It was the sadistic attitude. Everybody knew, for example, the ruler of Nabha state, Ripudaman Singh. He was not alone. Almost everybody, when it came to torturing women or girls or picking up them for their physical needs, everybody was sadistic. They would not only torture them, they would subject them to many unnatural acts. Some of these, less than 1% of these women who were part of the harem were intelligent enough, like Noor Jahan and that woman of substance, Maharani Gayatri Devi of Jaipur. They made their own mark. Razia Begum also. But most of these women were subjugated to men, and instead of looking after them, these rulers were, because they were autocrats, they knew they could get away with anything as long as they paid the lip service to the crown. Today I'm going to talk about Ripudaman, the Maharaja of Nabha state in the Punjab, British Punjab. Like all the Maharajas, he was also very fond of women. He did good administration also, fairly good, but when it came to women, he was the same, a man. One day as he was passing through his state in his car, he ruled from 1911 to 1928. So I'm talking about that era. When he was going in his car, he saw a girl. Her name, as it would be revealed later, was Pritam Kaur. He was fascinated by her, and like it always used to happen, when the officers knew their ruler, the officers knew the whims and fancies, so they knew their ruler Ripudaman. So the moment his eyes would fall on a woman, the people accompanying him or the officers accompanying him would realize this. And it was like a subtle understanding when their eyes met. So Ripudaman developed their fancy for Pritam Kaur and asked her to be picked up. Now, as it happened, she was the daughter of a senior official in Nabha state itself, and she herself was very educated. In that time, when 99% women were illiterate, she had done her graduation, BA Arts, and she was intelligent, wise. Ripudaman called her several times to her officers, but she refused to meet him because she knew his reputation. Then Ripudaman sent many messages through his officers to her parents also, but the parents also refused. The reason was they all knew that it was Ripudaman's habit that he would marry a girl, and then after a few months, when he got fed up of her or bored of her, and if she stopped fancying him, he would put her in a cellar, imprison her along with other women of the harem. Because you see, the problem was that these men, these rulers, even their subjects, they would also accumulate women, as many as they could or afford, and would treat them shabbily. The problem was that these women, once they were taken up by the royal harem, their royal ego will not permit these women to lay their eyes on any other man. The slightest hint of an affair, and you would see their bodies floating somewhere in river Yamuna or being thrown from the ramparts into the moat around their forts. If you go to the Red Fort in Delhi or in Agra, there is a tunnel going down right from the harem deep into the river Yamuna. So if there was the slightest inkling of an affair, they would be killed, she and her lover, and their bodies would be found floating next day in the river Yamuna. Nothing would persuade Pritam Kaur or her parents to agree to Ripudaman's pleading to marry their daughter. But the royal ego of Ripudaman won't have it in any other which way. Finally, exasperated by these constant irritating disruptions by Ripudaman, the parents of Pritam Kaur finally decided to marry her off to some educated man who was the son of a noble called Shamsher Singh in the state. But the royal ego of Ripudaman won't let it happen, so he did not let the marriage happen. Now this family was fed up, so they decided to leave Nabha and settle somewhere else, but at least they would live in peace. But Ripudaman won't let it happen either. So from the borders, they were arrested and put in the prison. In prison, Pritam's parents were tortured. They were kept in separate cells so that they couldn't see each other. They tried every trick in the book to persuade them, to make them agree to Ripudaman's proposal. When nothing happened, and another question may arise, why would he do so many things when he could easily have got her picked up and put her in the harem? Because the family was well known in Nabha. It was like when media comes to know of a certain issue, then the administration is little careful about how they treat the particular case. So they were known all over Nabha. If he had made any such overtures of imprisoning her or something, the public would have probably risen against Ripudaman. So now Ripudaman, what he did, look at the way these rulers who should be administering, who should be thinking about their subjects at least partly, look at the way they indulge themselves. The plan that Ripudaman made will probably give you goosebumps. Ripudaman dressed himself as a prisoner named Bhuta Singh and got himself lodged in the same prison in the cell next to Pritam Kaur. Very slowly but steadily he developed his relations by talking to Pritam Kaur and then her parents, and it was like it became a little assembly of friends. But okay, Pritam Kaur started liking him but not loving him as such. So Ripudaman thought what to do next. So he made a very sinister plan. He asked the superintendent of police, Bakhtawar Singh, to arrange for some snakes who were venomous, but their fangs had been taken out so that if they bit, nobody would die. He also invited the Inspector General of Police to come disguised and lodge himself in the same prison. According to Ripudaman's plans, these snakes supplied to him by the Superintendent of Police were put in the prison cell of Pritam Kaur. Now in prison there used to be no bed, she was sleeping on the floor, and as these snakes started crawling on her body, she woke up with a start and started screaming. Soon the whole of the prisoners all gathered, including her parents and Superintendent of Police and IG, and of course our good old Bhuta Singh. So Bhuta Singh had already asked Superintendent to arrange for heavy boots and a stave to kill the snake. Now at this time when she was shrieking and she was almost hysterical, he entered the prison cell, started killing the snakes with his boots and with his stave, and pulled her near him all the time and became a hero. After this whole episode was over, IG and Superintendent of Police decided to release them. So these foursome, the family of Pritam and Bhuta Singh, the disguised Maharaja, they went out of Nabha and settled in some small village. There again he proposed, but this time the parents couldn't refuse him because he had saved their child and he was kind of a hero in their eyes. So they agreed and they were married with the consent of the parents. Now the girl had to go to the boy's house, so our boy Bhuta Singh brings her to Nabha again and directs them or leads them to his palace. There he reveals his true identity, that I am so and so, and actually all this drama was done because I wanted your daughter in marriage. All right, now this time they gave in because the marriage had already happened, and also because Bhuta Singh had proved himself to be like a good person, or else he would have abducted and raped her or whatever. They agreed this time, but again the same thing happened. After a few months of harmonious marriage in splendor and gaiety of the palace, Ripudaman got fed up of Pritam Kaur. She started boring him. So what did he do? Just as he did with several other women, not only women, girls, virgin girls, whom probably, like almost every ruler, he was violent and sadistic, and tortured them. He put her in the cellar, in the basement, along with other such women of the harem. There, this brilliant, educated, sweet woman, Pritam Kaur, died. The parents died of the shock.